The ship appeared above Earth on a Tuesday morning. It was massive, bigger than any city, and it blocked out the sun over half of Europe. People stopped their cars on highways. Children pointed from classroom windows. The whole world held its breath. Ambassador HFY stood on the bridge of the Hegemony flagship, looking down at the blue and green planet below. His forearms were folded behind his back in the way his people showed respect. But he did not feel respect. He felt pity. Such a young species, he said to his second-in-command Thraic. They've barely left their planet's orbit. Only one colony ship sent beyond their system. A colony ship that violated hegemony space, Thraic reminded him. The law is clear. HFY nodded his large, smooth head. The law was indeed clear. Any species that entered hegemony territory without permission faced judgment. The humans' colony ship, the UN Hope, had crossed into their space 3 weeks ago. It had disappeared shortly after. The Hegemony Council had decided Earth needed to learn its place. Open communication channels, HFY ordered. All of them. Let every human hear this. The message went out in perfect English, Chinese, Spanish, Hindi, and 200 other Earth languages. It played on every screen, every radio, every phone on the planet at the same time. People of Earth, HFY began, his voice calm and cold. I am Ambassador HFY of the Hegemony of 12 Systems. Your colony ship entered our territory without authorization. This is a violation of galactic law. We are here to deliver judgment. In the United Nations building in New York, President Sarah Chen of the Pacific Federation stood with other world leaders. They watched the alien's face on the main screen. His skin was pale blue. His eyes were black and too large, and when he spoke, his mouth showed too many teeth. We demand the following. HFY continued. First, Earth will surrender all space travel technology immediately. Second, Earth will accept permanent quarantine. No human will ever leave your solar system again. Third, you will destroy all satellites and space stations. You have 1 hour to accept these terms. The transmission ended. For a moment, nobody on Earth moved. Then everyone started talking at once. President Chen turned to General Morrison of the American Union. Can we fight them? Morrison shook his head. That ship has technology we can't even understand. Our weapons would be like throwing stones at a tank. Maybe we should accept, said Prime Minister Okonkwo of the African Alliance. We could rebuild in secret. Wait for our chance. There won't be a chance, Chen said. If we accept, humanity dies slowly instead of quickly. They had engineers analyze the alien ship. They had diplomats prepare counteroffers. They had military leaders plan desperate attacks. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. Earth was a child facing a giant. When the hour was up, President Chen stood before the communication system. The other leaders stood behind her, united for perhaps the first time in human history. She spoke clearly and firmly. Ambassador HFY, Earth has heard your demands. We cannot accept them. Humanity was born to explore the stars. We will not surrender that destiny. We ask for negotiation, for understanding, for peace. But we will not accept chains. On his ship, HFY sighed. He had expected this. Young species always chose pride over survival at first. They always needed a demonstration. Very well, he said. He turned to his weapons officer. Target the Mars colonies. Use the disintegrator beam. Leave nothing. The weapon that fired from the Hegemony ship was beyond human understanding. It was a line of purple light that crossed space in seconds. When it touched Mars, the red planet seemed to shimmer. The 3 domed cities on Mars housed 400,000 people. Scientists, engineers, families who had traveled for months to build humanity's second home. Children had been born there. They had schools, parks, and dreams of making Mars green. The purple light touched the first dome. The dome didn't explode. It simply stopped existing. The metal, the air, the people inside, everything became nothing. The light moved to the second dome, then the third. In less than a minute, every trace of human presence on Mars was gone. On Earth, the screens showing the Mars colonies went black. The radio signal stopped. The quantum communication link showed nothing but error messages. Mars Base 1, please respond, a technician in Houston kept saying. Mars Base 2, Mars Base 3, anyone, please respond. Silence. President Chen fell into her chair. General Morrison's face went white. Around the world, people who had family on Mars started calling, messaging, hoping for some mistake. There was no mistake. 400,000 humans were gone. HFY appeared on the screens again. That was a demonstration. Mars is now cleansed of human presence. You have 1 more hour to reconsider. If you refuse again, we will target your moon colonies, then your space stations, then your cities. Choose wisely." The transmission ended. In the UN building, nobody spoke. Prime Minister Okonkwo was crying silently. General Morrison's hands were shaking with rage. President Chen stared at the black screens that had shown Mars. "Madam President," an aide said softly, "the world is waiting." "What do we do?" Chen stood up slowly. She looked at the other leaders. She saw fear, anger, and grief on every face, but she also saw something else, determination. "We need time," she said. "Tell Vexhai we need 3 days to convince our people. Tell him Earth needs to mourn." The message was sent. On his ship, Vexhai considered it. Threyek spoke up. 3 days is too long. They could plan something. What could they plan? Vexhai asked. Their most advanced weapons are nuclear bombs that couldn't scratch our shields. Their fastest ships would take years to reach the nearest star. They are alone, primitive, and now they know it. Let them grieve. It will make their surrender easier to accept, he sent his reply. Earth has 72 hours, no more. We will monitor all your communications. Any attempt to attack or escape will result in immediate destruction of your planet. The hegemony ship moved to a higher orbit, watching and waiting. On Earth, something strange happened. After the initial panic, after the tears and the anger, the planet went quiet. Radio communications stopped except for basic emergency services. Television stations showed only static. The internet slowed to essential services only. Cities that never slept turned off their lights. Vexhai watched this from his ship. You see? He said to Threyek. They grieve. The loss of their Mars colonies has broken their spirit. They will surrender. But Vexhai was wrong. Earth wasn't grieving the way he thought. In the silence, in the darkness, something was happening. In secret bunkers, scientists worked on equations that shouldn't exist. In hidden laboratories, engineers built machines that defied physics. In quantum research centers, humans discovered something about themselves that no other species had found. The silence wasn't surrender. It was preparation. Dr. James Harrison at the London Quantum Research Center was the first to see it. As he watched the quantum patterns of human brains in grief, he noticed something impossible. The patterns were synchronizing, not just in his lab, but according to hidden data streams across the entire planet. My God, he whispered. We're connecting. He sent a coded message to President Chen. She read it 3 times before believing it. Humanity's grief wasn't just emotional. It was quantum, and it was creating something new. In homes around the world, people felt it too. A strange sensation, like someone else's thoughts at the edge of their mind. Parents who had lost children on Mars could feel other parents' pain. Children who had lost friends could sense other children crying. The whole planet was sharing its grief, and in that sharing, something powerful was being born. Vexhai monitored Earth's silence and smiled. 72 hours, he said. Then this unfortunate chapter will be over. He was more wrong than he could possibly imagine. The first 24 hours of Earth's silence were the hardest. In underground bunkers, scientists worked without sleep. President Chen had gathered the brightest minds from every nation in a facility beneath the Swiss Alps. They called it Project Phoenix. Dr. James Harrison stood before a room of 200 scientists. His eyes were red from crying and lack of sleep, but his voice was steady. What I'm about to tell you changes everything we thought we knew about human consciousness. He pulled up a hologram showing brain scans from the last day. When the Mars colonies were destroyed, 8 billion people felt grief at the same moment. But something happened that has never happened before. Look at these quantum patterns. The hologram showed waves of light pulsing through brain tissue. But these weren't normal neural patterns. They were synchronized, perfectly matched across different brains from different parts of the world. Dr. Liu Wei from Beijing spoke first. This is impossible. Quantum entanglement in human brains? At this scale? Not impossible, Harrison replied. Just undiscovered. It seems human consciousness has a quantum component we never detected because it only activates under extreme shared emotion. The death of 400,000 people witnessed by 8 billion created a resonance. Dr. Amara Okafor from Lagos raised her hand. Are you saying human minds can connect through quantum fields? More than connect, Harrison said. He pulled up another display. They can project. Watch this. He showed a video from a test conducted 6 hours earlier. A volunteer, Thinking about her daughter who died on Mars had created a visible quantum field disturbance. The air above her head had shimmered, and for just a moment the faint image of a child's face had appeared. The room erupted in discussion. President Chen raised her hand for silence. "Can we weaponize this?" Harrison shook his head. "Not weaponize, but we can use it. If we can amplify the quantum field, if we can get enough people projecting at once, we might create something the hegemony has never seen." General Morrison leaned forward. "What exactly?" "A quantum consciousness field that spans local space," Harrison explained. "We wouldn't be attacking them. We'd be existing at them." Very loudly. Meanwhile, above Earth, Vexhai was growing puzzled. His ship's sensors showed almost no electromagnetic activity from the planet below. Earth had gone darker than any inhabited world he'd ever seen. "They're not even communicating," Threyek said. "How are they coordinating?" "Perhaps they're not," Vexhai replied. "Perhaps they've given up." But then his quantum sensors detected something odd. Tiny fluctuations in the quantum field around Earth. They were so small that the computer classified them as background noise. But Vexhai had conquered 12 species. He knew that background noise sometimes meant hidden dangers. "Increase quantum monitoring," he ordered. "Something feels wrong." Back on Earth, the secret work continued. Dr. Harrison's team had made a breakthrough. They discovered that human quantum consciousness responded to specific triggers: grief, love, protective rage, and most powerfully, the memory of lost children. "It's evolution," Dr. Liu explained to the gathered leaders. "Humans evolved as social creatures. Our minds are literally designed to connect when the tribe is threatened. We just never faced a threat big enough to trigger it fully." President Chen looked at the data. "How many people would we need?" "All of them," Harrison said simply. "Every human on Earth, thinking and feeling at the same moment. We need to synchronize 8 billion minds." "Impossible," General Morrison said. "No," said a new voice. It was Father Miguel Santos from the Vatican, Rabbi Sarah Goldstein from Jerusalem, and Imam Ahmad Hassan from Mecca. They had come together. Not impossible. Humans have been synchronizing their thoughts for thousands of years. We call it prayer. The plan that formed was unlike any military strategy ever conceived. They wouldn't use weapons or ships or bombs. They would use human consciousness itself. Secret messages went out, hidden in background radiation that looked like cosmic noise. The message was simple. Day 3, noon GMT. Remember Mars. Remember the children. Project your grief, your love, your fury. Think of them. See them. Make the universe see them. Around the world, people prepared in secret. They gathered in homes, in hidden bunkers, in subway tunnels. They held pictures of the Mars colonists. They watched videos of children playing in the Mars domes. They prepared to grieve together, to rage together, to project their humanity into the cosmos. Dr. Harrison's team built amplifiers, not for radio or energy, but for quantum consciousness. They looked like simple metal towers, but they were tuned to the exact frequency of human thought. Thousands were constructed in 48 hours, hidden in cities around the world. On the second day, something strange happened. Even without coordination, people began to spontaneously connect. A mother in Tokyo suddenly felt the grief of a father in London. A child in Cairo sensed the anger of a grandmother in New York. The quantum field around Earth was warming up. Vexhai noticed it immediately. "The quantum fluctuations are increasing," he told his council. "What are they doing?" "Perhaps it's a side effect of their grief," suggested Korvax, the hegemony science officer. "Some species have unusual reactions to mass death." "Run scans," Vexhai ordered. "I want to know everything about human biology." The scans revealed nothing special. Human bodies were fragile, short-lived, and unremarkable. Their brains were complex, but not unusually so. Their technology was primitive. Everything about them suggested weakness, but the quantum fluctuations kept growing. On Earth, Dr. Harrison made another discovery. "The children," he said to President Chen. "The quantum signatures of the Mars colonists, especially the children, they're still detectable. Death doesn't erase quantum information immediately. It dissipates slowly over weeks. We can still find them in the quantum field." Chen's eyes widened. "You mean, we can bring back their quantum echoes? Not their bodies, not their minds exactly, but the quantum impression they left on the universe. The hegemony killed our children, but they can't kill what our children meant to us." The final preparations began. Engineers calibrated the amplifiers. Scientists prepared the quantum field generators. Religious leaders prepared 8 billion souls for something that had never been attempted. Messages were hidden in songs, in prayers, in the whispers of parents to children at bedtime. Tomorrow at noon we remember together. We project together. We show them who we are. On the night before the third day, Earth was quieter than it had ever been. But in that quiet, 8 billion hearts beat with the same purpose. 8 billion minds prepared for the same moment. HFY stood on his bridge watching Earth. 16 hours until their deadline, he announced. Prepare the disintegrator beam. Target their moon colonies first. When they see another demonstration, they'll surrender. Thrayek nodded but looked troubled. The quantum readings, Ambassador. They're approaching levels I've never seen from an inhabited planet. Grief, HFY said dismissively. Nothing more than the quantum noise of 8 billion grieving minds. It will pass when they accept their fate. But in secret laboratories, Dr. Harrison watched the readings with growing excitement. The human quantum field wasn't just noise. It was organizing, strengthening, preparing to become something unprecedented. Tomorrow, he told his team, we show the universe what humanity really is. Not our bodies, not our technology, but our consciousness itself. The hegemony thinks we're weak because we grieve. They're about to learn that human grief can reshape reality. The final hours ticked by. Around the world, humans prepared for something beyond war, beyond surrender, beyond anything any species had attempted. They prepared to turn their consciousness into a force of nature. The hegemony thought Earth would grieve quietly. They were about to discover how wrong they were. The morning of the third day arrived with clear skies across most of Earth. It was 11:45 GMT when HFY opened communications with Earth for the final time. People of Earth, his voice echoed across the planet. Your 72 hours have ended. What is your decision? President Chen stood in the underground bunker, surrounded by the world's leaders and scientists. Dr. Harrison was at his quantum monitoring station, watching as readings climbed steadily. Around the world, 8 billion people were preparing. Chen activated the communication system. Her voice was calm and clear. Ambassador HFY, Earth has made its decision. We choose to show you who we truly are. HFY's expression showed confusion. That is not one of the options provided. No, Chen agreed. It's not. She cut the transmission. HFY turned to his weapons officer. Target their moon colonies. Prepare to fire. But at that moment, something happened that no member of the hegemony could have predicted. At exactly noon GMT, 8 billion humans closed their eyes and remembered. They remembered the children who had played in the Mars domes. They remembered the scientists who had worked to make Mars green. They remembered 400,000 souls who had been erased in an instant. The quantum amplifiers hidden in cities around the world activated. They didn't generate power or signals. They simply provided a focal point for human consciousness. The first sign was a shimmer in the air above Earth's major cities. HFY's sensors detected massive quantum fluctuations. What are they doing? He demanded. Then the sky turned. It started above New York, where 1 million people stood in Central Park, holding pictures of Mars colonists. The air above them began to glow, not with light, but with something else. Faces began to appear in the sky, transparent, massive, made of quantum energy, the faces of children who had died on Mars. Above Beijing, 2 million people projected their grief from Tiananmen Square. The sky filled with images of families, of birthday parties in Mars domes, of children taking their first steps in Martian gravity. In London, Paris, Moscow, Delhi, Cairo, Lagos, São Paulo, the same phenomenon occurred. The quantum consciousness of humanity was becoming visible. But it wasn't just images. It was emotion made manifest. On the hegemony ship, alarms screamed. The quantum readings were beyond anything in their database. Korvac stumbled back from his console. Ambassador, this is impossible. The quantum field it's conscious. The entire field around Earth is conscious. HFY watched his view screen in disbelief. Earth's atmosphere was transforming. The blue sky was filling with faces with human forms made of quantum energy. They weren't attacking. They were simply existing, but their existence was overwhelming. Then the voices began, not sound, but quantum vibrations that every conscious being could feel. 8 billion humans were speaking without words, projecting their thoughts directly into the quantum field. Why? The voices asked. Why did you kill our children? Every member of the hegemony crew felt it. Not just heard it, but felt it in whatever they had that passed for a soul. The grief of 8 billion people focused and amplified, washing over them like a tide. Thraic collapsed to his knees. His species had eliminated emotion eons ago, but now he felt human grief pouring into him. Tears fell from eyes that had never cried. Make it stop, he gasped. But it didn't stop. It grew stronger. Dr. Harrison watched his readings with awe. It's working. The quantum field is responding to human consciousness. We're not just projecting images, we're projecting ourselves. Above Earth, the quantum manifestations grew more complex. Full human forms appeared, transparent and massive, walking through space itself. A child, 100 miles tall, made of golden quantum energy, reached out toward the hegemony ship. It wasn't threatening. It was asking for a hug that would never come. The ship's shields, designed to stop energy weapons and projectiles, couldn't stop this. The quantum projections passed through them like they didn't exist. The child's hand touched the ship's hull, and every crew member felt the touch of a child who had died 3 days ago. HFY tried to maintain control. Fire the weapons. Destroy their cities. The weapons officer reached for the controls, but stopped. His hands were shaking. Through the quantum field, he was experiencing human memory. He saw a little girl on Mars drawing a picture of Earth, saying she wanted to visit grandmother. He saw her die when the dome disappeared. He felt her parents' grief. I cannot, he whispered. The quantum projections grew stronger. Earth's sky was no longer blue. It was human. Billions of faces, forms, memories, all projected into space. The hegemony ship was surrounded by humanity's consciousness. Then the quantum echoes of the Mars colonists appeared. Dr. Harrison had been right. Death didn't immediately erase quantum information. The 400,000 who had died were still there, faint but detectable in the quantum field. Earth's collective consciousness found them, embraced them, and amplified them. Above Mars, ghostly domes appeared, made of quantum light. The colonists walked again, transparent and beautiful, going about their daily lives. Children played. Scientists worked. Families had dinner, all of it made of memory and quantum energy. HFY watched in horror as his crew broke down. Some were crying. Others were on their knees. The hegemony had conquered 12 species, but they had never faced anything like this. They had never faced a species that could weaponize grief, that could turn love into physics. Retreat, HFY ordered. All ships retreat immediately. But as his ship turned to flee, the quantum field expanded. It wasn't just around Earth anymore. It was spreading through the solar system at the speed of thought. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, all the planets were surrounded by human consciousness. The fleeing hegemony ship found itself flying through a solar system that had become human. Every inch of space was filled with faces, with memories, with the quantum presence of 8 billion grieving, furious, determined souls. Jump to hyperspace. HFY screamed, I can't, the navigator replied. The quantum field is interfering with our engines. It's not hostile, it's just too much. Too much emotion. Too much humanity. On Earth, President Chen watched the readings. The hegemony ship was trying to flee but couldn't. Not because Earth was stopping them, but because human consciousness had made local space too emotionally dense to navigate. Should we let them go? General Morrison asked. Dr. Harrison shook his head. We're not holding them. They're trapped by their own inability to process human emotion. Their technology doesn't know how to handle a species that projects consciousness. The quantum manifestations continued for 6 hours. 6 hours where the hegemony experienced every human emotion from 8 billion people. Love, loss, hope, fear, determination, and most of all, the fierce protective rage of a species that had lost its children. When it finally ended, when Earth's sky slowly returned to blue, the hegemony ship hung motionless in space. Its crew was alive but changed. They had experienced something no member of their species ever had: empathy. HFY activated communications one last time. His voice was different, broken, smaller. Earth. What are you? President Chen responded. We are humans. We grieve, we love, we remember, and when you killed our children, you taught us that we can make the universe itself feel what we feel. The sky isn't yours, Ambassador. When humanity grieves together, the sky becomes us. Vexai's ship limped away from Earth, its crew forever changed by the experience. They had come to break humanity. Instead, humanity had broken something in them, the ability to commit genocide without feeling its weight. As the ship disappeared into hyperspace, finally able to navigate as the quantum field calmed, Vexai sent one last message to the Hegemony Council. Do not return to Earth. They have a weapon we cannot fight. They have the ability to make us feel. The Hegemony Council assembled in emergency session on the capital world of Zerion Prime. 12 species, rulers of 100 systems, gathered to hear Vexai's report. The ambassador stood before them, but he was changed. His proud posture was gone. His forearms hung limply at his sides. Show us, commanded High Counselor Zarek, whose species had founded the hegemony 3,000 years ago. Show us what happened at Earth. Vexai activated the holographic display. The council watched Earth's sky transform, watched human consciousness become visible, watched their most advanced warship rendered helpless by grief. Impossible, Zarek said. No species can project consciousness. It violates the laws of physics. The humans don't seem to care about our laws, Vexai replied quietly. Not our political laws, not even our physical ones. Counselor Morvek of the Altarians leaned forward. You're telling us that humans can make emotions into weapons? Not weapons, Vexai corrected. Something worse. They make emotions into reality. When 8 billion of them feel something together, the universe itself has to acknowledge it. Back on Earth, the world was different after what they now called the projection. People had felt each other's minds, had shared consciousness for 6 hours. The quantum connection hadn't completely faded. Humans were more aware of each other now, more united than ever before. Dr. Harrison was studying the after effects. The quantum entanglement is permanent, he told President Chen. Not as strong as during the projection, but it's there. Humanity has evolved. We're not quite telepathic, but we're no longer completely separate either. Can we do it again? Chen asked. Yes, but each time we'll be stronger. We're learning to use parts of our brains that were dormant. Children born after the projection are showing even stronger quantum consciousness signatures. Reports came in from around the world. Children were playing games where they shared thoughts. Artists were creating works inspired by collective dreams. Scientists were solving problems by linking their minds through quantum fields. Humanity had been transformed by its grief into something new. On Zerion Prime, the Hegemony Council was fracturing. Counselor Thex of the Draconians spoke first. We should destroy Earth immediately. Use the planet killer weapon. Don't give them time to grow stronger. And if they project again while we're attacking? Vexai asked. What if they make the entire hegemony feel the death of 8 billion souls? Could your species survive that? Could any of us? The council fell silent. They had conquered through superior technology, through fear, through overwhelming force. But how do you fight an enemy that attacks with emotions? How do you shield against grief? High Counselor Zarek made a decision. Quarantine Earth's system. No ship goes within a light year of them. Let them rot on their single planet. That may not be enough, Vexai said. He pulled up new data. The quantum field disturbance is spreading. Slowly but spreading. Other species are beginning to detect it. Some are responding. On a small planet in the Vega system, the Ashanti people felt something strange. They had been conquered by the hegemony 50 years ago, forced into slavery in the mines. But now they felt something new in the quantum field. Hope, human hope, spreading like a signal through space. The Ashanti were empaths by nature, able to sense emotions, but never project them. When they felt Earth's quantum field, they understood immediately. Someone had stood up to the hegemony. Someone had found a new kind of strength. In the mines, Ashanti workers began to hum together. It was their traditional way of sharing feelings. But now, touched by Earth's quantum field, their humming did more. It created tiny quantum ripples. Not strong like Earth's, but enough to make the hegemony guards uncomfortable. Stop that sound, a guard ordered. The Ashanti didn't stop. They couldn't. They had felt Earth's defiance, and it had awakened something in them. Back on Earth, Dr. Harrison detected the Ashanti response. President Chen, you need to see this. Another species is responding to our quantum field. They're harmonizing with us. Chen studied the data. Can we strengthen their signal? If we project again, focused on them maybe. but it would reveal that we can direct our consciousness across interstellar distances. The hegemony already fears us, Chen said. Let's give them a reason to. The second projection was planned for 1 week later. This time, Earth wouldn't just show its grief. It would share its strength with every oppressed species in hegemony space. Word spread through quantum whispers, through the connected consciousness of humanity. People prepared not with sadness this time, but with determination. They would show the galaxy that humans don't just grieve their losses. They transform them into hope for others. On Zirion Prime, Vexhai felt the quantum field shifting again. They're preparing something, he warned the council. The readings are similar to before, but different. More focused. Attack them now, Counselor Thex demanded. With what? Zarak asked. Every ship that goes near Earth risks having its crew emotionally compromised. Would you volunteer to lead such an attack? Thex said nothing. The day came. 8 billion humans joined their consciousness again, but this time they reached outward. They thought of every enslaved species, every conquered world, every being living under hegemony rule. They projected not grief, but a message. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. Feel what we feel. Share our strength. The quantum wave spread from Earth at the speed of thought. It touched 100 worlds in seconds. On each world, oppressed species felt it. The Ashanti in the mines, the Corvani in their reservation camps, the Melody in their silence factories. Every species the hegemony had broken suddenly felt whole again. On the Ashanti world, the miners stopped working altogether. They stood together, humming in harmony with Earth's projection. Their quantum field, weak for so long, suddenly flared to life. The mine overseer felt their collective joy, their renewed hope. It overwhelmed him. He ran from the mine, leaving the Ashanti free for the first time in 50 years. On the Corvani world, where the hegemony had forbidden their ritual dances, the people began to move together. Their dance, combined with Earth's quantum field, created visual distortions in the air. Their oppressors saw the Corvani not as they were, broken and enslaved, but as they had been, proud and free. The guards dropped their weapons and fled. On dozens of worlds, similar scenes played out. Earth's quantum consciousness was teaching other species what humans had learned, that shared emotion could reshape reality. Vexhai watched the reports in horror. The humans aren't conquering. They're liberating. Through quantum consciousness, they're teaching other species to project. High Counselor Zarek stood from his chair, something he hadn't done in centuries. Impossible. Only humans have this ability. No, Vexhai corrected. Humans were just the first to discover it. Or perhaps the first to need it badly enough. Now they're showing others the way. The hegemony tried to respond. They sent fleets to rebellious worlds, but each fleet found itself facing not weapons but emotions. The collective hope of freed slaves, the joy of species remembering who they were, the determination of people who had learned from Earth that consciousness itself could be a force for freedom. Some hegemony ships fired their weapons, but it's hard to aim when you're crying from another species' joy. It's hard to kill when you feel your target's love for their children. The weapons fell silent. Within a month, 40% of hegemony space was in open rebellion. Not violent rebellion, but something more powerful. Conscious rebellion. Species standing together, projecting their emotions, making their oppressors feel the weight of what they had done. On Earth, President Chen met with the world's leaders. We started something, she said. The question is, what do we do with it? Dr. Harrison had the answer. We teach, we share. We show the galaxy that consciousness, not technology, is the next step in evolution. The hegemony ruled through fear. We'll lead through empathy. The transformation of the galaxy had begun, not through war, but through the simple, powerful act of making others feel. The hegemony had thought humans would grieve quietly. Instead, human grief had become the seed of a galactic awakening. 6 months had passed since Earth's first projection. The galaxy looked very different now. Half of hegemony space had declared independence not through war, but through what the free species called the awakening. Each world that learned to project consciousness taught others. The movement spread like ripples in a cosmic pond. High Counselor Zarek stood in his chamber, looking at the star map that had once shown his empire. Now it was spotted with free worlds, each glowing with its own quantum signature. His aide Korvek entered quietly. The humans have sent a message, Korvek said. They want to talk. After everything, they want to talk? Zarek's voice held disbelief. They say they have something to show us, something important. On Earth, humanity had spent 6 months learning to master their quantum consciousness. Children born after the projection could share thoughts as easily as speaking. Scientists had learned to solve problems by linking minds. Artists created works that could make viewers feel exactly what the artist felt during creation. President Chen, now leader of the United Earth Council, prepared for the most important communication in human history. Dr. Harrison stood beside her with his latest discovery. "Are you sure about this?" Chen asked. Harrison nodded. "The quantum echoes of the Mars colonists are still there. Fading, but there. If we do this now with the whole galaxy watching, it might change everything." The communication began. Every screen, every quantum receiver in known space activated. Earth was broadcasting to everyone, hegemony and free worlds alike. President Chen appeared, but she wasn't alone. Behind her stood representatives from every freed species. The Ashanti, the Corvani, the Melody, and dozens of others, all united through quantum consciousness. "High Counselor Zarek," Chen began. "6 months ago you sent Ambassador Vexhai to break humanity. You killed 400,000 of our people. You thought we would grieve quietly." She paused, and when she continued, her voice was different, softer. "You were partially right. We did grieve. But grief, we learned, is just love with nowhere to go. And love, when shared by billions, can change the universe." The image shifted. Dr. Harrison appeared with his quantum field generators. "We want to show you something. Not as threat, but as a gift. The greatest discovery humanity has made." He activated the generators. Around Earth, 8 billion humans focused their consciousness one more time. But this wasn't about projection or rebellion. This was about something deeper. The quantum echoes of the Mars colonists began to strengthen. Not their bodies, not their full consciousness, but the impressions they had left on the universe. Slowly, beautifully, they became visible again. A little girl appeared first, made of golden quantum light. She was playing with a toy spacecraft, laughing. Then her parents appeared, watching her with love. Then others, hundreds, thousands, all 400,000 Mars colonists, visible as quantum ghosts. On every world, every being watching felt their hearts break and heal at the same time. The colonists weren't truly alive, but they weren't gone either. They existed in the quantum field, in the memory of the universe itself. The little girl looked directly at the camera, at High Counselor Zarek, at everyone watching. She spoke, her voice carried by quantum waves to every consciousness in the galaxy. "Why did you make me go away?" she asked. "I was just learning to write my name." Zarek, watching from Zirion Prime, felt something he hadn't experienced in 3 millennia. Guilt. True, crushing guilt. His species had evolved beyond emotion, or so they thought. But the child's simple question broke through every barrier. President Chen spoke again. "This is what you tried to destroy. Not just lives, but dreams. Not just bodies, but souls. But here's what we learned. Consciousness doesn't die immediately. It echoes in the quantum field. Every being you've killed, every species you've destroyed, they're still there. Faint, but there." The projection expanded. Other quantum echoes became visible. Members of conquered species who had died fighting the hegemony, children from destroyed worlds, entire civilizations reduced to quantum whispers. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the dead spoke to the living through quantum echoes. They didn't accuse. They didn't demand revenge. They simply existed, reminding everyone of what had been lost. "We could weaponize this," Chen continued. "We could make you feel every death you've caused. We could break you with the weight of 1,000,000 quantum ghosts, but that's not what humanity chooses." She stepped forward, and the quantum projection changed. Now it showed not the dead, but the living. Earth's children playing with Ashanti children through quantum connection. Corvani dancers teaching humans their movements. Melody songs harmonizing with human music. The freed species weren't just free, they were united. "We choose to teach," Chen said. "We choose to heal. The quantum field connects all consciousness. We can use it for war, or we can use it to understand each other in ways never before possible. We choose understanding." High Counselor Zarek had ruled for 3,000 years through fear and power. Now watching the quantum ghosts of those his empire had killed, feeling the forgiveness in Earth's message, something broke inside him. Not his body, but the cold logic that had guided his species for eons. He activated his own communicator, broadcasting to all hegemony worlds. The humans are right, he said, his voice shaking. We built our empire on death, but consciousness remembers. The universe itself remembers. I feel them all. Every soul we destroyed. They're watching us. On his homeworld, his own species began to feel it too. The quantum field was teaching them to feel again. Emotions they had suppressed for millennia came flooding back. They cried for the first time in 3,000 years. One by one, hegemony worlds began to change. Not conquered by Earth, but awakened by it. Species that had forgotten how to feel learn it again. Worlds that had known only oppression discovered hope. Ambassador Vexhai, who had started this by attacking Earth, stood before the Earth Council. He had requested to come in person, alone, undefended. His forearms were spread in his species' gesture of complete surrender. We came to break you, he said to President Chen. Instead, you broke us open. You made us feel again. For that I am... He struggled with the word, new to his species. Grateful. Dr. Harrison showed Vexhai the quantum readings. Every conscious being leaves an imprint on the quantum field. With enough focus, enough shared consciousness, we can find those imprints. We can't bring back the dead, but we can ensure they're never forgotten. The Mars colonists, Vexhai said quietly. Can they forgive? The quantum echo of the little girl appeared near him. She was faint, more memory than being, but her presence was undeniable. She reached out a ghostly hand and touched one of Vexhai's arms. My mama taught me to forgive, she said. But please don't make anyone else go away. Vexhai collapsed to his knees, overcome by an emotion his species had no word for. The humans called it redemption. Within a year, the hegemony of 12 systems ceased to exist. In its place rose the Consciousness Collective, a union of free worlds connected by quantum empathy. Earth didn't lead it. No single world did. They led together, feeling together, understanding each other in ways that made war impossible. When you can feel your enemy's pain, you can't pull the trigger. When you experience their love for their children, you can't destroy their world. When their hopes become your hopes through quantum connection, you stop being enemies altogether. Dr. Harrison made one final discovery. The quantum consciousness field isn't limited to our galaxy, he told the assembled species. It extends throughout the universe. There are others out there, other conscious beings waiting to be found. Should we reach out? President Chen asked. Harrison smiled. We already are. Every time we project, we send ripples through the cosmic quantum field. Someone somewhere will feel it, and when they do, they'll know they're not alone. The little girl's quantum echo appeared one last time, fainter now, ready to dissipate into the cosmic background. Thank you for remembering me, she whispered. Then she was gone, not destroyed, but returned to the universe itself. Ambassador Vexhai returned to his world with a message for his people. We thought Earth would grieve quietly. We were wrong. Earth grieved so loudly that the universe itself heard, and in hearing Earth's grief, the universe learned to feel again. The transformation was complete. Humanity had turned its greatest loss into the galaxy's greatest awakening. The sky hadn't just turned human. It had turned conscious. And in that consciousness, every being found connection, understanding, and hope. Species that had been enemies for millennia now felt each other's joys and sorrows. Worlds that had never communicated now shared dreams. The galaxy had become truly alive, truly aware, truly united, and it had all started with humans refusing to grieve quietly. On Earth, as the sun set over the rebuilt Mars colonies, President Chen looked up at the stars. Each one now twinkled with quantum consciousness, with the thoughts and feelings of a million worlds. We did it, she said to Dr. Harrison. We turned grief into growth. No, Harrison corrected. We simply showed the universe what was always true. All consciousness is connected. We just needed to lose something precious to learn how to see it. The stars continued to shine, but now they shone with awareness. The universe had awakened.